Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from the jagged, high-altitude alpine tracking grids of the Colorado mountains and small-town military investigations, and dive straight into the sun-drenched turquoise open ocean sea lanes of the Caribbean Basin, international maritime security loops, and the deeply protective world of an elite black-budget execution asset running raw tactical asset retrieval loops. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored coral cays of the Florida Keys, the exclusive procedural grid of an off-the-books naval interception, and the lethal analytical parameters of an intense maritime-based tracking matrix with enduring charity, the exceptional pulse-pounding structural deployment marking the monumental fourth book in the globally dominant, chart-topping Charity Styles novel series by the absolute undisputed sovereign of high-velocity tropical suspense, sharp blue water noir profiling, and rogue operational statecraft, Wayne Stinnett. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, underestimated female protagonist asset running an unyielding field loop, a deeply protective multinational pirate syndicate, and an absolute defense of the free world's final personal sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn maritime thrillers, where an endangered, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of black-budget shell corporations, corrupted foreign diplomatic channels, and a deadly ring of active international gaslighting, while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised global security ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculated tactical interception boundaries, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory sleeper network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent ex-Navy helicopter pilot turned government assassin hunts down high seas terror cells before they strike diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Stinnett completely dominates the high-precision analytical minds meet lethal field operations dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating institutional paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Vince Flynn, Brad Thor, Randy Wayne White, and Clive Cussler, while treating realistic naval logistics, complex dynastic alignment arcs, and protective high-density combat extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legacy intelligence asset, Charity Styles, operating under a severe, calculation-heavy handicap of massive psychological trauma scars, a hidden civilian sailing cover profile, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the global underworld's ruling operational cells. Behind Charity's rigorous database footprints and tense mission ledger logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried administrative secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Charity's collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of being shielded by her dark military past, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from rogue state actors and pirate syndicates, parsing complex behavioral shifts from her powerful cold-eyed handlers, and shielding her vulnerable operational autonomy nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless hostile cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. A terrifying rogue cell begins utilizing unmonitored Caribbean shipping lanes to smuggle high-grade tactical threats into the Western Hemisphere, establishing a secure operational corridor designed to launch devastating asymmetric attacks inside the American domestic grid. As the hostile syndicate's mobilization phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across the islands, a series of suspicious border breaches, targeted maritime massacres, and calculation-heavy international shell maneuvers threaten to permanently compromise the Western defensive registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when Charity's tactical counter-deployments reveal that her fresh investigative alignment is radically, impossibly altering the intelligence community's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine federal law enforcement and peaceful diplomatic compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonists run completely out of standard bureaucratic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war across the Bahamas and the Florida Straits, where deceptive political houses, highly manipulative cell leaders, and a calculation-heavy black ops apparatus launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress their survival data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the pristine boardrooms of island finance firms, dark mangrove perimeters, and private fortified safehouse chambers into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective analyst turned field protagonist is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mounting skills, and raw intellectual stamina to repair her perimeter and secure true institutional stability before the next catastrophic geopolitical realignment permanently deletes her progress. When deceptive regional red herrings, corrupted financial wire transfers, and calculation-heavy tactical ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete her path, her survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight data stream excavation, every silent choice to eliminate an active threat behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the dark underworld's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Stinnett reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial ambush or managing a difficult field asset profile. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of national sovereignty, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of international hatred and geopolitical supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their brotherhood, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient hero must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a geopolitical espionage thriller, maritime counterterrorism suspense, legacy dynasty action drama, and high-velocity tropical noir masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-whispered radio transmission triggers a fatal marina showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes kinetic confrontation, or a heavy possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Stinnett writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive gunpowder residue, salt spray, marine diesel, sunscreen, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this series' continuation into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes community dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft, alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute, jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Enduring Charity is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes political fiction and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell with your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.